Don't you think the manager is a bit like a chess player where there is dozens of things happening on the chessboard, and at the same time, you need to anticipate or think of what the opponent is going to do. You need to think a few steps ahead. The reality is constantly changing, and obviously, you have different moves you can do, and you have to make decisions on a daily basis. I always like this metaphor because uh, that's how I see every business owner and every manager when I listen to how they handle their day-to-day operations. And the topic of this video is more about helping those managers, helping you if you are watching, um, handling this with peace of mind, because that's also the theme of this channel. It's going to be helping you uh, handling and managing your operations and your team with self-confidence and with peace of mind. And how I was doing it with my hostel before, I found something that worked for me. So if you have different ways to solve those problems, then you can actually share with others in the comments. But my main tool I was using was called So it's three M's for a Monday morning meeting. And because we were in Vietnam, it was actually a joke because it stands for MOI, which stands for younger people or like younger brothers and sisters. And my employees were three during that meeting, so it was M and M. But yeah, anyway, so this meeting was actually very powerful for us because I was all around the place at that time. I was dealing with different things. I was trying to grow the business at the same time, solving customers' problems. I was still very involved in the operations. And sometimes I would ask people to do things for me. They would have things going on that they needed to finish. And we would lack alignment, and we would actually love to have meetings like that once a week to align. And especially on a Monday morning, because it's rare that your employees love their morning, and especially the Monday morning. So it was a good thing to do a meeting to realign and to just check on what we're going to do this week, what happened last week, and not forget to do anything. How I was structuring these meetings, I'm going to tell you in this video. I wanted also to take this video to share about weekly reviews on a personal level for entrepreneurs. And I also wanted to give you some bonus advice on how to keep up every week and keep the motivation, but also keep the accountability. So let's go. Let me check how we can organize a Monday morning meeting. You might be familiar with this concept of weekly meetings that are actually very boring if they happens every week. And maybe if you own a product company or an IT, or if you've been used to work in an IT company, you might be familiar with a term called meeting minutes or minute meeting. So it's just a round table usually, and what I was doing actually was to have a book at the reception where all the staff could use as a to-do list, and everyone was entitled to help each other on that to-do list. So we would use that book to actually check on the previous pages of the last week and checking if there was any tasks that we haven't done and try to anticipate if we could do it next week or if we would actually not do it because it's obsolete. And we would make decision, like it would be really like a consultation between the four of us to try to organize the task for the coming week. And then, only then, it was once we were clear about what we are going to do, it was a quick review of the past events that happened because at the hostel we had a lot of events going on, and trying to plan the next week events, or at least confirm the next week events. We were also checking the occupancy rate because that was very important and that was my goal at that level. I wanted to be constantly fully booked and over my target in terms of occupancy. So we had to check last week, we had to check this week, and we had to anticipate our marketing efforts. And in two videos before, I shared my entire strategy, And part of the tasks that I'm talking about in each of the strategies, some of the team members were responsible to do. So if we would be lacking occupancy, more people would be working on those tasks in order to make sure that we eventually have a chance to be more visible and have more bookings. I was also checking the employees' schedule. It was a good opportunity for me at the beginning of the week to ask if there is anyone who wanted to take a day off or who would need to take a day off and wasn't sure. So I don't get the news on the last minute by email for the next day, but it's rather anticipated. And we were also checking that the schedule aligned with everyone and there is no gap and there is no customer that will actually arrive at the reception desk without any staff. And also checking if we needed to call some repair for our supply or those daily operations. And instead of doing it from top to bottom, if I may say, like telling them what to do, it was rather more like them, what they have done, and what we can do next. And me as well, trying to remember what I asked them to do and checking how it was going and if it was blocked or if it was lacking focus. So like we could realign and anticipate if it would be possible to do it this week or not, and then have a clear roadmap. And those meetings were lasting between 30 minutes to 1 hour in between the two shifts of the morning and the afternoon. And it was also a moment to share more about our different, let's say, day-to-day at the hostel and raise also some concerns if there was any. And the meeting wasn't lasting more than 1 hour for 4 people. Now, what I suggest you to do that I wasn't doing at the time of the hostel, but I do now, is also to do a personal weekly review for yourself as a business owner, but also as someone who has to balance between your business and your own life, or I should say private and personal goals. So in order to do this, it starts by having some things that you want to ensure you always do on a daily basis, and at the end of the week that you check if you have done them or if you have them finished. And it helps also to journal, to review what happened last week, to plan on the next week. And I know for a fact that the elder generation of mine, so I'm around 30 years old, don't really and think it's necessary to do reviews. That's what my father would say. He thinks it's useless. But in my opinion, doing this on a weekly basis really helps to not only align with your team when you do it as a team, but align with yourself when you are someone like me, actually, who is doing different things at the same time and always starting something, have a harsh time to finish it. Then once you do this, you remember you started it and it forces you to actually continue working on it or just ditch it because you realize that you don't need it anymore. And at least you'll feel comfortable with any decision that you make because you are doing it on a consistent basis. And what I've added to that layer of weekly reviews is also an accountability partnership. So that's the last part of this video, is going to be trying to find a few, it could be maximum 3. I think what it works best with is like 2 other people. So it would be 3 people following up on each other on a weekly basis. With like similar issues, or it could be finding other business owners in your field or friends who can help you to check on a weekly basis with you and your progress. It doesn't have to last for a certain period of time. It can be a few months, it can be 1 year. But once you find some accountability partners, it actually really helps on putting on paper and orally saying what happened last week, what are you working on this week, and what blocking issues that you face, and maybe people can help you suggest some solutions, or you can spend more time helping others as well, which can help them by the knowledge that you have, moving forward with their own project, and the next week it's vice versa. Doing accountability partnership is actually a very powerful tool if you want to be able to open up and don't keep things personally as a business owner who is always constantly dragged in between different weird problems sometimes that you don't anticipate and you have no one to talk to. So it's a good opportunity to do. I think that's it for today's video, and I will see you tomorrow for more tips and more lessons on how you can actually get fully booked. See you guys. See you tomorrow.